If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. That really, really does a lot for us. Also, make sure you tick that notification bell to follow up on everything that we're doing. And if you're listening on any of the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever you like, click the subscribe button. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you leave a comment and rate us. We really love when y'all interact with us, and it helps us out a lot. Appreciate y'all.
And we showing everybody how to grow their confidence. One for all and gold like Donovan goals. So we go
beyond the game, beyond the same. Changing the culture and the land. To the court, to the field, to the skates. Get the real from the gate.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Game podcast. This is the Leadership Academy. And today, I'm very excited to be in Toronto. And I'm here with Miss Chelsea Cheung. Chelsea, how are you doing?
I'm doing so good, Shaka. Thank you. How are you?
I am tired, but that's okay. I'm here with you, and I'm excited because this has been a long time coming.
It has been.
When was the last time I asked you to? The first time I actually be on this podcast was.
You're really gonna call me out for that?
I'm just saying. We've wanted you on the podcast, and we finally have you on the podcast. Yes. So Chelsea, thank you so much.
I am very happy and excited to be here.
Good. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you. I met you 2014.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
2014. So it's almost been 10 years, dude.
Wow.
So yeah, it's almost been 10 years. I met you through University of Toronto. You were playing on women's soccer team with my now wife Brenda, and you were always a beast since then. And it's just awesome to kind of see you grow through that to playing professionally to doing so many other things. So before I get into too much detail, tell us about you.
Thanks, Shaka. Okay, so I mean, as you already said, yes. So I played at U of T. You already know that part, but for the people who don't know that, I played at U of T soccer for 4.5, so five total seasons. So in my later years, I was a little bit on the back foot, I would say, in a way. In the first 2 years, I struggled a little bit, and then I feel like I really kind of came to my to really find my own in the last couple of years. And then after that, I was like, all right, I don't want to stop playing soccer yet. I love the sport too much. So that's when I went abroad. I played in Sweden. I had some recent adventures in Turkey as well, which didn't work out, but that's okay. And then also once I decided, okay, maybe I don't want to just play soccer, I also got into spikeball. That's thanks to one of my friends that I met through COVID. And so I ended up playing for Team Canada for that in Belgium at the World's Tournament. And then now I'm just me. That's a good breakdown of everything. Really. That's me.
I love that. How was the transition to spikeball from soccer? Because obviously you played professionally, soccer, and then made it to the World Championships in spikeball. What was that transition like, and why?
Yeah, great question. Pretty wild. Wouldn't have seen that coming. Really, it's not exactly a natural pathway. But COVID happened, and so soccer wasn't really happening. And then after I'd been abroad to play soccer, as I had just been saying to you, like I suffered from some injuries. So I was kind of taking a step back from that, and this kind of just presented itself as an opportunity where, I mean, there weren't really other sports to play at the time because of COVID. And then playing spikeball in the park had people kind of spread out, which, I mean, in theory, we were spread out to 6 feet apart. But then, I mean, I just ended up finding myself with a group of really great people downtown who were also very competitive because one factor or characteristic about myself is that I'm very competitive. So I managed to find a bunch of other people who were also very competitive, and we just kind of went nuts with it. And then spikeball is growing now. Like it's being played in university sport. It's growing a lot. I know there's a push to get it into the Olympics, so it's growing a lot, and there are some really crazy people out there, so they're really, really good.
That's insane. And if you guys haven't seen any spikeball videos, go on YouTube and just watch spikeball because wow, it's incredible. And so I commend you on that and keeping the competitive spirit going, because that's something that I know as former athletes or as athletes in general, we want to stay competitive in anything we do. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so let's get a little deeper into you. You didn't, coming into university, I heard from you or from my wife that you didn't know if you wanted to play soccer.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So I was going to play volleyball at U of T, and I was training with the team ahead of time. But with university sport, I mean, you're coming in as a rookie, you'd be coming in first year playing with girls who are potentially in their fifth year, and that's a lot of years of experience between you and them. So I would have been the third person in my position, and I just wasn't sure if I was prepared to grind for multiple years to only really get the playing time I was hoping to see in years down the line. So I thought, okay, well, I've been playing soccer all my life, more than I've been playing volleyball, so maybe I should just stick with soccer after all. So my decision to go to university was based off of academics first and sports second. So that's why, I mean, I had already gotten into U of T, I'd spoken to the volleyball coach. But then since I wasn't sure if that's the path I wanted, I figured, all right, let's just see what happens with soccer. So I ended up at the open tryouts, which thankfully worked out for me because I loved my time at university playing soccer, and the group was great. So I'm very glad that it worked out that way. So yeah, it wasn't planned. Looking back, like, I wish that I had known more in advance. Academics still would have definitely driven more of my decision, because I think that's more like, I mean, that's a more responsible, like, long-term choice than like choosing a school for sports. Yeah, I know. What is responsibility? But in the end, like, I mean, it worked out. But yes, had I known that I would have still had such a love for soccer, like, I might have maybe like just done more research ahead of time and figured out, okay, like, is there a school that has a program for soccer that, who knows, if I'd go to the States or wherever it might have been. But still very happy with the way things turned out.
Okay, well, I honestly, yeah, your path may be unconventional, but you still made the best of it. And I think that's the important takeaway here. So throughout your time playing at U of T, is there kind of a key takeaway that you can give to people before we continue on?
A key takeaway from playing with U of T.
Yeah. Or playing varsity athletics, varsity sports at a very competitive, very academic institution such as University of Toronto.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, do it if you have the opportunity. Like, I feel like I've come across so many athletes who, or just younger people in general, who are super talented, and then they're like, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to handle doing sports and doing schooling at the same time. And it makes me so sad when I hear about people who are like, I'm not going to be able to handle it. Like, I'm not sure that I want to do it. And I'm just like, no, don't do that. Please just do it, because you meet so many great people. Like, I personally, like, time of your life, like, you have so much fun. Like, it doesn't take away from the academics. Like, it's not hard to balance. I mean, okay, maybe something that's not a full lie. I mean, like, overall, I think it's definitely doable. You just have to, I mean, manage your time at least a little bit, but you have a lot of time to do schooling. So I would, just literally just don't give up and just do it if you have the chance. Yeah.
Big takeaway. Just do it.
Yeah.
Nike, sign her.
This is beyond the game. We're talking.
Yes. Yeah. Beyond the game, sign us.
Unless Nike's sponsoring you.
We can do that. We can do that with Nike.
Then we can do that.
We can. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so in your time, you've obviously been playing soccer for a while. You've been playing sports for a while. Was soccer your main sport growing up?
Yeah, okay. Soccer was always the main one.
What other sports did you play?
So I mentioned volleyball already, so I started that one later on. But then with school sports, I did soccer, I did volleyball, and then I would do track and or cross country. Okay. But it was soccer and volleyball were the main ones. Okay.
Now, in all your years of playing competitive sports, you've obviously seen leaders in different areas, coaches, teammates, whatever it may be. What is your definition of leadership?
I think that it's a really good question, and also having listened to other of your podcasts, but like, this is leadership is something that's talked about a lot. There's always kind of like a similar sort of theme that goes through it. But one that I really kind of like that stands out to me, I guess, is that idea of having confidence in what you believe in and kind of staying true to that, and not pushing it onto people in a way where it's like, I'm right, you're wrong in any way, but just kind of being sure about yourself and your team and whatever, I mean, it depends on the sport, but whatever your goals are, being sure about that, and then helping other people around you to become aligned with that, or at least to understand what your goals are, and kind of leading by example and kind of being that role model.
I'm going to get awkward for a second, just adjust myself.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Good thing we're on video, eh?
Yeah, right? Perfect. Okay, cool. That works. Ooh. Okay, cool. Okay. That is a great answer, I really think. Yeah. You know, before I continue, how do you get to a point where you are sure of yourself and confident enough to go to someone else and say, hey, I can help you do this?
Good question. Let me think about that for a second. How do you become sure about what you're trying to say?
It's not an easy thing to do.
It's not.
It's definitely not an easy thing to do, and it's a question that's come up time and time again. And honestly, truthfully, no matter how many answers I give, and no matter how sure of myself I am in the answer, people always kind of keep asking the question, right? So for you, how did you get to that point?
No, I think as you're talking there too, I feel like it's practice, because like you find yourself in, whether it's like naturally you find yourself in a leadership position or it's put upon you with like a captain's band or whatever it might be. I feel like over time you end up finding yourself in a position where you're speaking for yourself or for other people. So like, again, like whether if you're for example, as a captain, like you're speaking on behalf of the team to your coach, or like just like for yourself and you want to advocate for whatever your thoughts are. I think that you end up just getting better at realizing what it is that you're looking for or trying to do, and become better at communicating that. And so I honestly do feel like it's practice, and then you kind of center yourself in a way into what it is that you actually are aligned with. If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
I hope so.
It does make sense. Reps.
Yes.
Get reps in.
Always. That's how it is, right?
It is. Yeah. In everything you have to practice. You don't just wake up one day and are naturally good. There are some people, but for the 99% of us who are normal, you have to practice, right? You have to be able to put in the work every single day, and you're going to make mistakes. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be uncomfortable, but people say get comfortable being uncomfortable, because in those moments is when you grow. Definitely. Right. I've used the example of a balloon several times, but like you blow air into a balloon, and now you expand, you're putting pressure on its walls, you're making it grow, and that's how it gets stretchier and stretchier. It gets bigger and bigger, right? And so that's what we have to do. We have to apply pressure on our boundaries in order to continue to grow. And in that is uncomfortable, but it's something you gotta do. Right.
I don't disagree at all.
No. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna shout out our sponsors, because we appreciate you and you help pay our bills. Special shout out to Round Ball Basketball, a twofold grassroots entity that not only provides the all-around basketball experience for all athletes of all skill sets, but also uses the game as a platform to impact its community. Contact them at roundball.bc on Instagram to get involved. The Washington Kids Foundation and Game Ready facility has provided a safe place for children and youth to develop and pursue their goals and dreams. The high-level coaches, comprised of current and former pro, Olympic and university coaches, and athletes, provide a supportive and competitive environment for each individual to be challenged in order to reach new personal bests. The Game Ready and Washington Kids Foundation journey of development ensures the path includes growth of character, leadership, and passion, all attributes that are valued through every stage of life.
Okay, so I was saying that, that I don't think that my definition of leadership has changed, but that I think I've maybe just been exposed to different styles, right? What's worked, what hasn't worked, whether it's been myself doing it or just being exposed to people whose leadership styles I either agree with or don't agree with.
Okay, so speaking of leadership styles, what is your leadership style?
Oh man, that's funny, because if you ask me this question, then you ask the people that I play with, they might have a different answer.
we might just do that. So.
Oh gosh, please be nice. I mean, I'm very direct, I think. I think that kind of comes from all parts of my life also. Like, I'm not one to kind of beat around the bush. Especially when it comes to like game time, when I'm competitive, then I mean, it's a lot more direct. As I'm getting older, I am definitely trying to increase my positivity on the field. We're still talking soccer here. But I mean, in general, it's just trying to put words into the things that we're feeling. But in general, though, on the field, like I'm just trying to keep the energy up typically. So, I mean, whether it resonates or not with my teammates, we can figure that out later. But my style is very much, though, to try to keep the energy up, because across all sports, like, I'm very, very big on the energy is what will make or break a team. And like, as soon as that energy dips, and like, you can really feel it, right, in the team, like as soon as that's gone, like, you're kind of screwed. So I'm just really kind of focused on that energy, and whether it's with intensity or positivity, it does kind of, so I guess my style also is, it depends on the person too. Like, if it's somebody who I'm maybe closer with, like, it's just like, we're like, hey, come on, like, we got to do better. If it's somebody else who I've maybe just coached and I'm not as close friends with, then I'll probably put on my coach voice a little bit more, and it'll be more directive and straightforward and like to the point. So it kind of depends. Yeah.
I think that hit the nail on the head. It's very, as much as you want to be as authentic to who you are, before I get myself into trouble for saying things I don't mean, everybody has their own identity at their core. And from there stems how you present to other people, right? I think being able to see different people and how they present will then inform you on how you are going to approach them in your leadership.
100%.
And you as a leader need to be adaptable enough to see that, recognize it, and be like, okay, I can't approach you with the bluntness that I need to,
100%.
that I would typically want to, but I'm going to still stay true to myself and tell you the truth, maybe in a slightly softer way that you will receive and not be offended by.
Like 100%. Thank you for putting that into the words that I was looking for. Yes, that's it.
Okay.
What you said.
Yes. So I think that's super important. And as leaders, we need to understand that adaptability is a key trait that we all need. Right.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking about one of the captains of the U of T team was telling me how she was going and getting coffee with all the different ages, all the different years, just to like, what's going on? How are you feeling? And I think that something like that is super important to connect with people off of the field, because it helps you, or whatever the sport is, off the field for soccer, but off of the field, because then you get to understand who they are as a person. And then you also have that more of an established relationship. So on the field, there's almost like a connection and that level of trust amongst you. So then it's like, hey, like we have this bond, like I'm here for you. Like I know your style a little bit. I know how to talk to you. So you can really just work with each other a little bit more.
Yeah, that's key. That's key. And the second part of that, I think that is very important, is that now, yes, you start to make that connection with people, but now you understand them, but they also feel valued, and they feel humanized. Because I think a lot of times as athletes, we don't typically feel like humans.
Yeah.
Very, very much. It's like, no, you're there for entertainment and go kick a ball, go shoot a ball, and that's it. It's like,
perform.
Okay, cool. No, I'm sorry. We're not, that's not who we are. We are we're human beings. We're unique. We have feelings and emotions, and X, Y, and Z lives outside of these four lines. So we're going to express that. And so having a captain that cares about that, I think is huge. It's huge, because now your athletes feel connected at a deeper level and want to push more. Yeah. Right. Okay. How long have you wanted to play professionally?
I think it was maybe in my third year of university where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be satisfied with this. Yeah. And our team had, like, we'd gone through a lot of, but a lot of coach changes at U of T. And there was just, it just made it really difficult for the team to kind of build that momentum and that unity. Like I talked about energy and cohesiveness, right? That was really difficult to build. But as I said early on too, like my first 2 years were a bit shakier. Like I don't think I was as confident in myself, and I honestly just wasn't as good then. And then I really started grinding, because I was like, I don't want to be in this position anymore. Like I want to be comfortable in my position on the team. So once that started going, and then I started seeing the results in my play, I was like, okay, like maybe I can kind of keep going. I don't know if I'm ready to just say goodbye at the end of the university career. So that's when I kind of started looking and seeing kind of what avenues there were and how to make it happen.
I feel that answer kind of threw out the window all the statistics of those who go from high school to college and then from college to the pros. It was like, we talk about, going from high school, so going from university to the NBA, whatever it is, like 1 or 2% or whatever it is. And you're just like, yeah, I wasn't satisfied with stopping, so I'm just going to go pros. Pardon? People don't just do that, Chelsea. People have to work their lifetime to get there. And clearly you had the talent to do that. And you did. Well, you did. Injuries aside, you able to achieve a level that many people cannot say that they have. So that's
fair. Yeah. Sometimes when like you think about what you've done, you don't necessarily always like, it's just, I did it, but like it's not like, like this is a great achievement. So sometimes in your mind it's just like, it's downplayed. So yeah,
don't downplay it.
Kind of cool.
You did that.
I guess.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You did that. So in the pursuit of your professional career now, who who did you look to in order to kind of help you push to reach those goals?
See, that's kind of a tough one because I didn't really have a person because my family, like my parents didn't play sports. My sister played some soccer, but she never really, like she wanted to play in university, but she didn't end up doing it. But none of my friends had done it either. So I was kind of just winging it. But luckily I'd done a lot of coaching. So I had resources in that sense. Like I had a lot of coaches with contacts who I was able to be connected to other people through. Like I can't actually remember how I met my agent. No, I don't remember.
Okay.
I have no idea how I met my agent. Can't remember. But I didn't really have one person really pushing me because it was honestly just what I wanted to do. And my parents have always given me like the autonomy to do whatever I wanted. So they were like, yeah, that's great. I mean, if you want to, go for it. And then I made it happen. But again, it was more so I think just like my network that was able to give me the support versus like one person who was like, you can do it, Chelsea. Like you should do this. It was just kind of like, I kind of want to do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice. Turn your mic. Other way. You want the space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good. You're good. It still picked you up, so you're good.
Okay.
Where was I? That's great. I think still, even though you didn't have necessarily the person there to be like, hey, I'm going to reach out and pull and reach that level, you were still able to kind of use your discipline and your drive and whatnot to get to that level. When you got there, where's the first place you played?
I played in Sweden.
Sweden first. When you got there, what was your experience like? Were the captains there? Did they reach out to you and say, "Hey, welcome to the team"? How did they pull you along? Who did you look to when you got there in terms of leadership?
So I was in touch with. So again, in Sweden, they do speak a lot of English, but they definitely speak more Swedish. So I was in touch with the team manager, and they were kind of connecting me with everybody, like the people I would be living with. But it was more so connections with them before I actually got there. And then once I was there, then it was the captain who was kind of making sure that, because there were a couple of international girls. So then it was making sure that we were kind of comfortable and happy and getting involved with the team. Yeah.
Okay. And at what point did you get hurt?
Too early, probably 4 games in.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was only going to be there for 3 months. I was just going to be there for the summer, which was their end of their season. Or sorry, the beginning of their season. No, it was the end of their season. Second half of the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I still ended up staying the whole time.
Yeah.
So I ended up went to all the games, still going to practices. Good to know they don't really. So for the listeners and watchers, I got a concussion and I have a history of concussions. But they don't really take, at least at the time, didn't really take concussions too seriously. In Sweden, I was told, but definitely not on this team. So playing abroad is definitely very exciting. But when things don't necessarily go right, it's very anxiety inducing because it's not always glamorous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a learning experience though. Yeah.
So I like that you mentioned they're not always glamorous. I think there's an over romanticization of professional sports, and not many people know about the not so glamorous side of things. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I can touch on through Sweden and through my most recent experience in Turkey a little bit, but I think that the living situation is something that it varies greatly based off of the location that you're in. So I signed a contract in Turkey and I didn't end up staying. And that was a large portion because of the living situation. And just, culture aside, that's a huge portion, which is part of the great part of being able to travel for sport, but also part of the difficulty. But the living situation can be pretty tough. The language barrier can be fun at times, but also very, 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 very frustrating at times, especially if it's the same as our alphabet, great, at least you can try to guess. But if it's a completely different language where it's not even the same as our alphabet, then you're okay, I have no idea what this means. I can't even guess. So that can be really difficult.
Throughout the difficulties of being in another country and not having access to everything that you would like to. Were there people on the team that kind of helped guide you through the system?
Yeah, like there are a lot of really great people out there, whether they can actually give you exactly what you need or not, but definitely some really great people who, I mean, they're just like being human, right? Like they, like we were talking about before, like a lot of times in sport, like you're not really human, which, I mean, I definitely felt that from certain parts of that establishment where I'm like, okay, like I'm an investment. They brought me here to play and I'm not playing. So this is very stressful. They don't care. They just want me to play. But then the team was where I got the support more so that I needed. It's like, yeah, like we understand this sucks and we know that injuries happen. So then it was more so like, okay, like we're here like as a friend really, right? To make sure that you're not just over here in Sweden and like hating your life because you're not playing soccer. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's very important. You mentioned that there are some places that kind of treat you as an investment, which the reality of professional sports is
that
you are
you
are to a degree, right? And with that being said, obviously there's ways of approaching it from a captain standpoint and from another just player standpoint, right? How did you see the difference in leadership style from university sports to professional sports?
Honestly, like I want to say still, even with that I mean, from the team perspective, it's definitely it's just more like who that person is and they have their style. I think that definitely still applies professionally too. But also just like, I mean, in terms of culture, like, are they more passive or are they just more like direct with what they want? But even still, like, is that cultural? I don't know if that's the case or if it's because it's professional or not, if that's the result of the different leadership styles. But yeah, like I couldn't necessarily like pinpoint and say, oh, like at this level it's XYZ. I just feel like you get some leaders who are great and you get some who suck.
Fair enough.
Regardless of the level.
Fair enough, exactly. Okay, well, so what are some of the challenges that you kind of faced as other than injuries and whatnot, as someone coming from a whole new country, whole different perspective, whole different culture, stepping into a professional team, and trying to kind of set your own roots on this team? What kind of challenges did you face?
Yeah, so like I still remember getting there and immediately, obviously, like you're under pressure because this team is established. Like they're the Swedish people. Like they're in their home. It's their team. You're coming in because you're supposed to be, like, theoretically speaking, better than them to help their team. And so like it feels at least like there's not as much room for error. And like you want to come in and immediately be like, okay, like I'm so good, like go so hard, because like you've just come there and like you're supposed to be like an investment, an acquisition in a way. But then also, like, I still remember like the first session there and I was like, I just gotten off of the plane like a day before and I was so super jet lagged. So I'm like, okay, like really, like, and then like the couple days before I've been packing, and so it's like, oh my gosh, like really, like, am I going to be at my peak performance right now? Absolutely not. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. But I think there's just a lot more pressure, not necessarily from other people in certain instances, yes, to do well, but also just like intrinsically you're like, okay, like I came here to play, which is also why injury is so hard, because you're like, what else did I come here for? Like, exactly. I came here to play. So like that makes it kind of tricky.
And what was the sporting culture like when you got there? If you can speak to both Sweden and Turkey.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So for example, here, you come and, like you said, there's multiple culture changes. Also, that it has to do with just different scenarios behind the scenes. But you had like in Europe there's a huge soccer culture. People go and watch games all the time. Here it's growing, but it's not nearly as big as what it is in Europe. What is the culture like there? Do people care? Do you have a lot of fans coming to the games?
Okay, I would say, I mean, it's women's sports still, so it's not like it was crazy by any means. It was in a way comparable. Like, I wasn't in the top league in Sweden either, so like less people still. But in terms of like the culture amongst the group too, like you can like the quality of football in Sweden is very, very good.
Okay.
So like the girls are like very into it, and like it's a very professional environment. Which I mean, here in Ontario, I think that it is also like very professional. Like in the League One and the semi-professional league that I'm playing now, like I would say that's on par. Like it's very comparable. Versus Turkey, which was their professional league. But like it's just it feels a lot more amateur. Just like they don't have the same like here, like we're very structured and organized in the way that like you prepare for a game or you come to a practice, and then the way that the session is run, and like that's definitely very different there too.
Okay, so you weren't mobbed by fans on the street?
No.
Oh,
that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
kind of scary, but
yeah, kind of scary, but no, didn't get that yet. Still on my bucket list.
that's okay. It's coming.
I'll have to be famous for something else.
I mean, League One is popping here, so it
is popping.
You don't know, it can happen.
And there is a professional women's league coming to Canada.
Launching 25.
20. It's soon. Like
Yeah.
I almost want to say 24, but I feel like that seems too soon. But it's soon.
Okay.
It's very soon.
Okay, look out for that because
that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had your experiences in Sweden and in Turkey. Unfortunately, you were injured. You come back to Canada and you have taken on a few other roles. You're now one of the coaches for the University of Toronto women's soccer team.
Correct.
And you are playing semi-professional soccer here in Ontario in League One.
In League One, yeah.
How's that? How is the jump from it's unfortunate that it's amateur soccer in university, even though really it is top level. How is the jump from university soccer to the pros and now to semi-pro? What is that? How has that been for you?
I mean, I said this to you earlier too, but I had taken some time off after coming back from Sweden because I was like, okay, like I've had a number of concussions. Maybe I should stop playing soccer. That was hard to do when I was still coaching. So like I started coaching at U of T, and then I was like, oh man, not ready to hang up the boots yet. So then that's why I wanted to keep on playing. So then here comes League One, right? So it's definitely was a bit of a roller coaster, but I'm very, very happy with the level in League One. And I feel like over time, like just for myself too, like coaching, you learn a lot about the game. And as you coach more, you start to think like that while you're playing. And so I have a lot more fun playing now, although sometimes it's hard because I have so many thoughts in my head. My coaches know because I tell them all the time, because my coaches for my team are also the coaches at U of T who I work with. So I'm always hearing what they're saying in my head while I'm playing. So there's a lot of different voices, but in the end, it does really help my play too. So that's actually a piece of advice I'd give to younger athletes now if they're thinking about coaching. Getting into coaching early, it's a great experience. It's a lot of fun, but also I find that it really helps your game too.
And I think that's actually a really cool position for you to be in. One, being a coach at U of T and coaching with your coaches. You are essentially another coach on the field.
Yes.
For your team. How has that been for you? Do the girls see you differently? Do they take you seriously?
Yeah, I know it's kind of funny because some of them I think that they might be afraid of me because they're like, okay, well, this is my coach and now she's on the field and like I need to play well because she's there. But others who like maybe they were some of the older girls who I'd coached. It's kind of funny because like some of them who used to be my teammates too, like don't tell me what to do, right? So it's kind of funny, but I mean I love it. I think it's just funny, but I do find that sometimes I'm like, oh, like I don't want to have to say something, but then oftentimes I'm like, well, at least if I do want to say something, they're used to listening to me because I'm the coach at U of T.
Yeah.
So I think it works out fine. I hope that they feel that too, but it's a bit of a funny dynamic at times.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So you being a coach and you playing on a team, what is the difference in leadership between being a coach on the field and a coach for a university club?
I feel like I end up being pretty similar. Like when you were asking me earlier about like what my style is, like I was imagining myself on the field more so. But then I feel like as a coach, now I'm speaking personally, I don't know if it's different for other people. For me, I find that I am calmer as a coach, because maybe it's because I'm less comfortable there because I'm more used to being a player. But like I really just try to empathize with the players and really understand and make it sure that they're okay with asking me questions, because I know that asking questions to a coach can sometimes be really scary. So like, also I want them to know that I'm not perfect, because I don't want to establish an expectation, because I'm still learning too, but nobody knows all the answers. So if they have a question I don't know, I'm like, I don't really know, let's go ask together. So I feel like almost I'm more open-minded as a coach in a way, whereas when I'm a player, I'm like, no, like I see the field, like I'm on the field, like we can see what's happening. So I mean, again, I'm sure it's different for everybody, but that's kind of in my mind the way that it kind of works.
I think a really cool thing about now being in a leadership position, you've obviously had a run of coaches and leaders that you looked up to growing up, and you like you mentioned before, you saw what worked, you saw what didn't work, and now you as a leader are able to kind of go in there and see it and be like, hey, I don't want to do that because I am like that. Right. I remember my very first practice in grade 9 football. Our coach was like, hey, I'm a yeller. Don't take any offense to it. It is what it is. I'm not yelling at you personally. I'm yelling at the play. I'm like, cool, fair. I don't like that. Don't yell at me. Why are you yelling at me? Like, I will respond because that is the culture. That's what we do. But I'm not a yeller per se. I'm gonna yell, but yell praises, right? I'm a person that yells when you do great things. When you do things they're not so great, and then let's have a conversation. Let's put you aside, right? So that's me, and that's something that I learned from my coaches that I wanted to kind of tweak because I knew how it made me feel. So I definitely can see that for a coach, for seeing how you were coached and want to tweak that for now your players to kind of make them feel differently than you may have, right? I definitely think it's important for us to kind of keep growing, keep learning, as we continue to get older. You're almost 30.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god. Let's stop talking about that. This line of thinking is dangerous.
It really is.
We're not doing that.
Oh gosh. Okay. So can you speak to a little bit of your kind of your goals for League One? And as a coach, is coaching something you want to continue in the long term, or do you see yourself as a head coach at some point?
I'm not sure. I'm kind of very much, I mean, that's a great question, because in my life, I'm very much kind of deciding the direction that I want to take things. I definitely see myself being involved in sport. Obviously, I would love it for it to be soccer. But I also really love training. And I think that there's so much value, especially in women's sport too. Like, I mean, like it's more like common for guys. I don't know about soccer as much. Like I've seen, oh gosh, I don't want to call them out.
Do it.
Okay. At university, I think the women's team at university was a lot more hardcore, let's say, in the gym than the boys' side was. But I think that growing up, like, I think it is more common now. But just basically what I'm trying to say is I would love to be involved in like the training part that gets you fit to be on the field, because something I've always said for my own game and for my teammates is don't let physicality and being out of shape for your sport be the reason that you're not able to do well. So that's something that like is very important to me, because it sucks when you're like, you've got the technical ability, but you're gassed like 20 minutes into a game. So like, I would love to kind of be able to help in that space. So no, I don't know if I'm going to be a head coach. I don't know if coaching is long-term. I mean, I've done it for a long time, but like, who knows? But definitely being involved in sport. Yes.
Okay. That's great. Secondary question. League One, how has it scratched the itch yet? Do you see the end of the line for you in this sport, or are you going to continue to play until you can't walk?
I think that is also a very great question, because I kind of grapple with that constantly. Man, I hope my coaches aren't listening. There's a good possibility that this will be my last year playing League One. I mean, the older girls on my team, we all said this last year, and here we are again, we're still playing. But I mean, it's a big commitment. It is a very big commitment, and there are a lot of other things that I do want to do. Like, I've done some half triathlons, and I'd love to do a full triathlon, which would require some training. My trainer has said, oh, like, you'd be great in rowing. So I'm like, okay, like, that could be something different. I love being on the water. I don't know. So I don't know is really just the best answer. But like, there's just a lot of other things that I'd love to try before my body can't do anything.
No, that's fair.
So I'm undecided.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the sense I've gotten from you is that competitive spirit is always going to be there.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of finding the avenue in which it can be expressed.
100% nailed it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. You need something. You know what I mean? Like be able to pour those skills into something else. And that's I honestly think the biggest things for a lot of athletes, like as they retire, they get to a place where it's like, I don't know what to do. Which, I mean, fair, you don't know what you do. You've done something pretty much your entire life at such a high level, and now it's stopped. Cool. What's next? You have skills. You've built up skills. You've built up an incredible skill set that can translate to anything. But now, I think having options can be scary.
Yes, because I mean, up until that point too, like everything's been like, okay, like you go from rep sport or competitive sport to like the next step is college, or like, I mean, other sports is in between, but right, like it's a very clear pathway until you're done that, and then it's like, it's up to you. Yeah,
exactly. Everything been regimented for you, and you're told to where to go. But now it's like, okay,
you're just like off a cliff. You're just
right.
Like,
it's like,
goodbye.
All right, sink or swim. You either fly or not fly.
Yeah.
But I think in that, although it can be overwhelming, I think it's also beautiful because now there's a level of creativity that you are now allowed to express. I think in our time playing sports, and I'm processing this as I'm saying it, but in our time playing sports, we haven't necessarily been able to express it because we've been so regimented.
So true. Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, I'm allowed to see what life has for me. And we're not used to that.
Yes, so true. That's kind of where I'm at as well. Okay. It took me a while. Okay. And again, we're approaching 30.
Yeah.
So for all you youngins watching, you got some time.
But in that, like, go for it fully. I remember having a conversation when I first launched Beyond the Game, and someone I mentioned how, as athletes, like, while you're playing your sport, like, you should explore things around you, and like, fair. And someone told me, no, they should only focus on their sport. I can see the conversation from both sides, right? But for me, what I think is that people should really explore within the context of their sport. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think
like while you're playing your sport, you are building up skills. You're building up your competitive skills. You're building up the discipline in order to stay in the gym, stay fit, do whatever it is, say your playbook. You're building up your communication skills, which is necessary for the life.
Yeah.
But now that you have these skills and you have these passions within your sport, where else can these apply? Right? Like, I know people that got into, they did public speaking here and there. They did like school assemblies. I have someone that just got into public affairs because that's what they were passionate about while they were playing, and now they've made that transition quite seamlessly after they retired. And so it's like, understand your skills, understand your passions, and explore that within the context that in which you have. And then once you're done, it's like, cool, I've already been kind of doing these projects. I can pop on over there. Right?
Yeah. So true. I agree.
Yeah, I think that's important. Okay, so now we're coming to the end of our conversation, and I wanted to kind of ask you from your perspective of a professional athlete, what advice would you give to your younger self in high school and in university?
What advice would I give to myself in high school first? Okay, as an athlete. That's so long ago. Okay, in high school. What would I say? Shaka told me to not say because he can't edit it out. Okay, I'll start with university because that's easier maybe. Okay. Advice that I would give to myself is to not be so hard on myself. Because it's a totally new environment. It's both in terms of like the level of play, the way that things are done. So going to the gym as frequently as you do, the structure of the programming of the games and everything. So don't be so hard on yourself in terms of performance, and kind of making yourself comfortable there, because it is different. There's a lot of new things to kind of get used to.
Mm-hmm.
Man, okay, let me think about the high school question. Can I think of something about what I tell myself? I think I would maybe, it wouldn't necessarily be advice to change. It would be more so just an encouragement to keep on, kind of like we were just talking about, trying those different things, because like I had the pathways available to me with sport because I had done a number of different things when I was growing up. And again, my parents gave me autonomy to decide. So I took that free reign and I tried a lot of different things. So I knew I loved volleyball. I knew I loved running. I knew that I loved soccer. So I was able to kind of make that decision and not have regrets about it, because it was me making that decision. It wasn't my parents telling me what to do. Yeah. So I think that I would just encourage myself to continue trying those different things.
Nice. Nice. I think that's very important. Yeah. So don't specialize so early. Take your time to find out what you like, find out what you love, go for it.
Yeah. Be
a multi-sport athlete. You get helps your development as well. And just keep growing.
Yeah.
Really keep doing that.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Chelsea, thank you so much.
Thank you, Shaka.
You have been an amazing guest, and we're coming back. We're coming back.
Yeah.
Our next season is about coaches, so.
Ooh. All right. Well, hopefully it doesn't take me 2 years to get here.
Let's not take it 2 years, please.
Now I know what to expect.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Shaka.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Beyond the Game, Leadership Academy. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace and love. Have a great day.
Different names for success, but we gon' taste. Keep it metal on 10, gon' be okay. Gold medals round neck, CFL rings, Bill Kings, Queens, BTG, repeat rotate.